being a professional is about just showing up. You need to push everything to the side sometimes, suppress it, and just show up for your teammates, because that's what being a professional sports person is all about.
Welcome to episode number 7 of the No Rucks Given podcast. We're the podcast that highlights and brings right to your screens the backstories of professional rugby players. My name is Paul Brown-Bampo. I'm 23 and I play for Exeter Chiefs. And I'm joined by
Ross Vincent, 23 as well, play for Exeter Chiefs, Paul's teammate, and can't wait to dive into this next episode.
So today we have the absolute pleasure of being joined by one of our teammates, our number 6, or he could pretty much play anywhere in the back row or second row. He's a man that at only 25 years old has over 20 caps for Australia, plays for Exeter Chiefs, has over 50 caps for the Brumbies too. And that is, of course, Mr. Tom Hooper.
Cheers.
G'day, guys.
Get on.
Good feet.
So Tom, great to have you.
That guy's a beast.
Yeah, you loved every second of that, didn't you?
Yeah.
So great to have you on the podcast. This has been a long time coming, I feel. And why don't we just start off with how rugby's going for you at the moment at Chiefs?
Yeah, it's going really well. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. Long time fan of the show. Been watching a few episodes and listening to a few on the car on the way here, so it was lovely. Thanks very much for having me. Yeah, at the moment in rehab, only a short-term injury, so 6 to 8 weeks. Currently at 6 weeks and probably looking like I'm going to miss the finals coming up, but really excited for the team and keen to get around them, make sure that they perform well in this finals campaign for the Prem Cup, and then hopefully I'm back on deck for the Prem and the rest of the season. So yeah, morale's still pretty high. Pretty grateful to be over here in the Southwest and applying my trade here and at such a special location, such a special club. So yeah, a bit of rehab is just a small little bump in the road, but still trucking along.
Awesome. Well, we love having you here. Before we continue with this episode, we'd like to take a second to shout out our sponsor.
VX3 is a professional sports brand trusted by rugby clubs across the UK.
As players, we know how important it is to have kit that holds up through training and match day, but most importantly, looks and feels good.
VX3 is built for exactly that. If you want high-quality rugby kit that performs when it matters, check them out at vx-3.com.
Make sure to use our promo code NRG10 for a 10% discount on all items, and keep your eyes peeled for exclusive offers on new ranges and giveaways that we will announce during episodes. So we're going to dive straight into your family and early life. Tell us about where you were born, where you grew up, what type of family you're born into.
Yeah, so born in Sydney, out in Western Sydney. So a little bit of a city slicker first 5 years of my life, and then lucky enough to move back home to a little place called O'Connell, which is in central west of New South Wales, about 4 hours from Sydney, for those of you that don't know your Australian geography too well, which I'm sure is most of our listeners.
Yeah.
But yeah, mum and dad were from the same small little country town. They weren't cousins, just to clarify. But they always knew that they wanted to raise kids out in the country, and I think it's something that me and my brother look back on very fondly. We're very grateful for our time being able to grow up riding motorbikes, riding horses. Two of my best mates lived on the same street as me, and we were 3 of 9 kids in our year group at a small little primary school. So okay. It was a really special community, and memories that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. And they're still 2 of my best mates today. So it's pretty special to kind of have that small community, and then have people that have such a profound impact on your life come from such a small rural setting.
Yeah. So we've got this awesome picture of you and your family here. Why don't you intro us to mum, dad, brother? Who are they?
Yeah, so that lovely lady that I've got my arm around, that's my beautiful mum. She's the rock of our family. Yeah, she kind of keeps everything ticking along. Hard worker, incredibly hard worker actually. She did everything for us basically, and still does to this day. You know, she just works herself to the bone. So yeah, just very grateful for her and everything she's done for me and my brother. Then my dad, the cheeky old bugger to her left. He's a great man, and he taught me and my brother a lot of very good values as we were growing up. And you know, while Mum was working in Sydney, driving the 4 hours to work every week, you know, he was putting food on the table. We always kind of knew what food was coming up for that week. It was steak on Tuesday, fish and chips Wednesday, and then Thursday was either could throw a curveball in there with a little meatloaf, or he'd just do a stock standard. But yeah, so that's why me and my brother grew up to be such big lumps of lad, just on the back of Dad's cooking. And yeah, he's a plumber by trade and works on the farm as well. So even on his days off, he was always working. So it was always good to have a role model like that growing up. And then that little fella to his left, his my little not so little brother Locke. So him and I, this is our first ever game together. It was a trial match for the Brumbies against the Fijian Drua, and that was a really special moment for our family. Him being 3 years younger than me, we didn't really get to play with each other in school, so when he made the decision to follow me to Canberra, that was really special, and kind of the first time in our whole lives that Mum and Dad could watch us on the same field and be in the same location. And he was my roommate for the last 4 years, so it was something really special to be able to share together. Terrible cook, but great brother, and a really good roommate. No, he didn't take any notes from Dad, so yeah.
Okay.
How similar does he look to one of the Barretts?
Yeah. He could be a Barrett brother.
Yeah, he gets that all the time. A few eyebrows have been sent Mum's way, just whether her and the Barrett's dad had a little thing back in the 2000s. But he gets that all the time, that he looks a little bit like Geordie Barrett. But yeah, he's not quite as athletic as him, but he's still a very good rugby player, that's for sure.
Who would you say is a better athlete out of you and him?
Oh, him, definitely. I couldn't run out of sight on a dark night, mate. I'm slow as you guys can attest to. But yeah, my brother's always been the athletic one. But as I said, like, we're both very fortunate to have parents that have kind of instilled those values of hard work and perseverance into us. So, you know, even though I'm not the most athletic bloke, I've kind of taken those values forward into my rugby career, and it's put me in good stead to have a decent career so far.
Yeah, more than a decent career. So we're going to go right to the start of your rugby journey and talk about when you were first introduced to rugby. How did it come into your life?
Yeah, it was one of those ones, played all sports growing up. There I am, the little tucker. I played hockey, I played soccer, and anytime I kind of picked up a sport that wasn't contact, the coaches kind of pulled Mum and Dad aside and said, look, he's probably a bit too big and a bit too rough to be playing with these kids, so you should probably have a look at something a bit more physical. And Dad always loved the sport. He played at a decent level in Sydney, domestic comp, and yeah, it was something that we always knew we were going to love. Mum absolutely loves the sport. You know, the way she speaks, all my mates kind of always assume that she played, but she never did. She's just always been number one groupie for Dad, following him around, and now she's our number one fan as well. So it was always on the cards, but it was good to play soccer, and football, as you guys call it, but yes, soccer as we call it, and hockey, and play all those different sports as a young kid. Even though I knew that rugby was where my heart always lied. So when I was 9 and my brother was 6, we both just jumped across and started playing rugby union, and that's me in the Bathurst Bulldogs colours, which was the closest town to where we lived, which is only half an hour away, which was nice. And again, I look back on those times, and I formed a lot of good friendships from that jersey. I remember kind of me and my brother lining up at the sausage sizzle line, and we'd
say what that is for the people.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sausage sizzle is basically every Friday night after training you go, and the mums and the dads would put on some snags, some sausages on the barbie, and from there you'd go up and line up, and everyone got one sausage, but me and my brother always managed to kind of shove one down the gullet really quickly, and then get to the back of the line and go again. So yeah, I got some good memories from that as well.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is a club team because you didn't have enough students in your year group to make a team.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to branch out of my 9 friends in my year group and meet some other people. Not enough to form a rugby team, but yeah, there I am playing 5'8". Dad always said that it was a good asset for us to be able to play 5'8", and he wasn't one of those dads, you know, that was like, oh, you know, if you score five tries, we're going to give you $5 or whatever. It was never about that. It was always about being that distributor, making sure other kids were having time on the ball and all that thing. So he made both of us kind of play in the backs and make sure we worked on our passing game, and it was good because didn't get white line fever at all. And I mean, he's probably done me an injustice because I can't find the try line anymore. So
Wait, how many tries did you score while you're at the Brumbies?
One.
Yeah,
yeah, 1 in 50 games.
Few more for Chiefs while you've been here?
0. Still in the nudie run.
Yet to come.
No, I haven't scored, no.
Okay.
Put people away though, that's for sure.
Yeah. Nudie run at the end of the year, I think. It's looking that way.
What's 5'8"? Can we just
sorry.
the
The language barrier is going to get us a lot in.
Northern Hemisphere translation, please.
Standoff. Yeah.
He just uses another thing that we
Yeah,
don't.
No, well, don't you guys know that?
Fly half.
Yeah, fly half.
Fly half,
There
for
we
those
go.
that don't know. Okay.
Sorry, fly half. Yeah.
And then, obviously, I think a lot of forwards can attest to this, starting off in the backs and then making that slow migration to the forwards. Was that your story, or was it kind of like sudden that you were just chucked in the forwards?
Yeah, it was just one of those things, like tried out for a few rep teams in the backs because I really enjoyed that position and didn't make them. And Mum was great. Like, she was a straight shooter, and she said, have you ever thought of playing second row? And I was like, Mum, I don't want to play second row. Like, I'm not chucking my head in there. Yeah. And then she was like, well, that's exactly what everyone else is thinking. So imagine if you go second row, you're going to start making some rep teams. And then from there, that's honestly how my rugby kind of progressed. So I was just willing to do what other people weren't willing to do. So it was I owe a lot to her kind of having that conversation with me.
Sounds like a bit of a genius.
She is, yeah. Smart lady.
Yeah, saved her career. Well, obviously we know you now for your extremely like physical brand of rugby, your work rate, all these things. Was that in 9-year-old Tom Hooper? Did you enjoy the physical side of the game, or was that something that developed for you as you grew up?
I think I always enjoyed the physical side of the game. I really just have always enjoyed work rate. Like, I've always enjoyed just getting as many involvements in 80 minutes as you can, or 70 minutes as it was back then. So it's something I've just loved, always crossing that white line and being on the rugby field with my mates. I just have so much fun when I'm out there. And I don't really think about scoring tries or the flashy side of things. I just think about competing with my opposition and having fun with my mates. And they're just two things that have kind of guided me through my whole career from literally the age of 9. So it's been great.
Now we're going to move on to your schoolboy rugby and like slight elements of your early rugby career. So you play at Bathurst as for club rugby at a young age. How did rugby progress beyond that to like schoolboy?
Yeah, so luckily went into school after I moved. I didn't move, but used to catch the bus into town and go to the prestigious St Stanislaus Rugby, St Stanislaus College, for rugby. That was a really good school, and again met so many new mates there. All of a sudden, I went from having 9 people in my year group to having 100. So straight away, I was kind of a small fish in a massive pond, and I kind of felt a little bit lost. But naturally, I gravitated towards the guys that enjoyed their rugby, enjoyed their sport, and they're still some of my very good mates today. And I love my time there. It's a Catholic school, Vincentian community, which really focused on developing you as a young man. That was where the focus was. It wasn't so much around, grades or how good you were going to be at sport. It was really just developing that holistic view. So I owe a lot to that school, and the values that they instilled in me. They were really encouraging of us doing co-curricular activities. Joined the chess club first time I was there. Okay. Got knocked out in the first round, but it was good fun. Joined the debating club because I can talk 10 feet underwater with a mouthful of marbles. So they thought that'd be a good idea. They sent me in there and just said, go hell for leather. And then did a few college musicals, all that jazz. Okay. So it was really important to kind of develop that holistic view at that school, and it was awesome because I had so many focuses away from rugby that it really made my balance really, really important in life. And I think that's important for young people and parents as well to make sure that they're encouraging their kids to have that holistic approach to life, especially in their formative years. I think something I'm very grateful for that school for.
But was it a rugby scholarship that took you there in the first place, or you were just like another pupil?
Yeah, just went there. I wasn't all that good at rugby when I was younger. Like I just went there because it's where some of my best mates went, and it's just I wanted to follow them, and the rest is history. We made a really good decision.
Yeah, awesome. And being English, and Ross having played in South Africa, schoolboy rugby has a level of prestige to it and a level of competition that we've loved experiencing. Is that the same in Australia or?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah,
name your biggest rivals.
Our biggest rivals are a school called Kinross. Again, they're a country school. They're about 5 hours from Sydney. And yeah, anytime there was kind of a game between us two, there was a massive lead up in the week before. The quadrangle would be full with boys. Everyone would just be running out of class for a couple of speeches, a couple of fire-ups, a couple of war poems, no matter what it was. Yeah, they got into it. The boys, I just sat back and watched. It was very entertaining. But it was a huge rivalry, and the hill was always full. So we played on this number 1 oval, which we called it the graveyard. A lot of people broke a few bones on that, but we
like hard pitch.
Yeah. I think there was like something like 4 broken collarbones in 1 year on that oval. So yeah, it was a very hard pitch. But we had a hill that used to just fill out anytime we played Kinross, and it was a really, really prestigious rivalry. Something I look back on very fondly, and I never lost to them in my time there, so it was very special. But yeah, in 2017, I was part of a very special team that had about 4 or 5 professional rugby players from that team, which for a country school is just unheard of. For that many people to kick on in one team. Yeah. So myself, we had a guy from the Western Force, guy from the Waratahs, and then a bloke that played Aussie Sevens as well. So it was a very special team, and we went through that year undefeated, which was a special time for the town, something that we hadn't really had a lot of.
Yeah. Where does schoolboy rugby rank in your like experiences rugby wise? Obviously you've played some crazy games at the highest level, but
I mean, it doesn't rank all that high, but I think, if I'm being honest, But I think it really instilled my love for the game. Like I looked at my old iPad the other day, and I just had a photo of us beating Kinross, and there was a massive collection of bodies, just year 7s up to year 12s, everyone gathered around in the number 1, and it's an awesome photo, and just that. That love for the game is just at its purest form when it's at the schoolboy rugby. So I think it's really special to look back on those years, and it was definitely the launch pad for my whole career.
Yeah. So just going off that, you started off saying you weren't all that good at rugby. What was the point at which you realized, okay, rugby is my thing? Like, I think I could go professional in this.
Honestly, my parents were really good at keeping me grounded. I think all the way up until I was probably 18, 19, when I made that Australian schoolboys team, I think that's when I truly believed that, I could have a crack at this, because that was obviously the avenue that a lot of people had taken to success. Play Australian under-18s, you play Aussie 20s, and then from there you progress through the ranks. Up until that point, I probably didn't really think it was a genuine job opportunity. And as I said, my parents, my mum in particular, were really, really a driving force in terms of making sure my education was my priority. And the reason I went to Canberra in the first place and landed at the Brumbies ultimately was because I got offered a scholarship there due to my rugby, but they paid for my uni, and that was really special and really important to me at the time. And I'm very grateful for the Brumbies for offering me that.
I didn't know you went to uni.
Opportunity. Yeah.
What did you study? What did you do?
I studied exercise physiology.
Okay.
Yeah, I only got halfway through the degree, because then eventually the rugby contract came.
You can pick it back up afterwards.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Can we just rewind quickly just to school? And I don't know if many people would have guessed it, but you loved the stage, didn't you, at school?
Yeah.
So was there ever a point where you thought, "Oh, I could go down this acting path"?
No,
you got a beautiful voice, don't you?
No, I don't.
You can
yes,
sing?
you do.
I
You can
don't.
come on.
Oh, start there.
Oh, that's rock and roll. No, 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 thunder. No, 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 thunder. No, 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 thunder. No, 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 no. I was cold.
No, it wasn't Troy Bolton type
song.
thing. It definitely wasn't High School Musical. It was purely like, I'm going to join this music. I went to an all boys school, so I'm like, I'm going to join the musical and try and meet some girls.
What did you link up with a girls?
Yeah. We had a sister school that we kind of did the performances with, so that was really nice. And two of my best mates, they were very like musically gifted, and they jumped in there. And I could play guitar, but like I never really sung in front of people or anything. But tried my hand at it, and it was awesome. Like, was absolutely nailing it, if I do say so myself. And then I just looked down the crowd, and I just see all my like first 15 mates there, just with like the biggest grins on their face, and the cameras out, and I just lost it. I couldn't believe it. But
did you break character or did you lock in?
Locked in, mate.
Okay.
What sort of music was it? Musical plays?
Yeah, it's a musical. It was called Footloose.
Oh, really?
You might have heard it. Yeah,
so you can dance as well then?
Yeah, we had to do a bit of dancing, but I'm not that good at it. I can't dance.
We've seen two different people, right?
Depends how many beers I've had.
Yeah.
Sober, not a good dancer.
Okay. I got a question about, so obviously like in Australia, like league is also big. So when you realize you want to go pro, are there also ideas like, I might consider playing league instead of union, or like, how do people like, separate themselves between the two types of rugby?
Yeah, it's a really good question. For me, it probably was always rugby union, purely because of my family, their love for the game, my love for the game. It was always a rugby union household. But it definitely happens for young athletes, and you see a lot of really talented athletes getting poached either way. There's a constant arm wrestle over outside backs in Australia. Some of our back rowers were very talented rugby league players when they were younger. But I think the beautiful thing about Australia and Australians in general is we all just absolutely love sport. And you'll see a lot of people that are successful in whatever sport it may be. They played a lot of different sports when they were growing up, and got those key skills and attributes developed when they were younger. And my mum always said, if I had a kind of a bad game tackling in rugby union, she said, I'll send you to rugby league so you can learn how to tackle a different way, or send you to AFL so you can learn how to kick better. But for me, I didn't have too much kicking in my game anyway, luckily. So I got to stick in rugby union and just hone my craft there. But I think it's an amazing prospect as a young kid in Australia. There's just so much sport going on, so much land, obviously. So there's every second corner there's a rugby field or netball fields, all free of charge. You just go on and everyone just plays and is active. So there was no real enticement for me. Look, maybe at one stage in my career I might try my hand at it, but I can't see myself being all that good at it, because I do love the true rugby union craft of scrummaging, mauling, pilfering. Sorry, what do you guys call that?
Jackling.
Yeah,
pilfering.
That's another Australian one.
Okay.
But jackling. So yeah,
nice.
I'm very rugby orientated.
Okay. And I want to delve a bit more into your Australian schoolboy stuff, because you mentioned it briefly earlier. So do you always play New Zealand schools? Is that always like the big game?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's the only game that you play for Australian schoolboy? Are there more?
No, we played Fiji.
Yeah.
We played the New Zealand Barbarians. So basically whoever hosts will pick a second team. So if Australia's hosting, they'll pick two teams.
Yeah. Okay.
If New Zealand's hosting, vice versa.
Yeah.
So we played the New Zealand Barbarians. We played Fiji, and then we versus New Zealand, and I was lucky enough, there I am in the red headgear, I was lucky enough to play in the team that beat New Zealand. And a lot of us from that team have really kicked on. I think 6 or 7 of us have really kicked on into that Australian system. And it was honestly right then and there when I knew I could actually have a crack at professionalism in the sport. It was an amazing game. It was an amazing team. And when you're a kid and you're watching the telly with your mum and dad, and you see the Bledsoe just getting won time and time again by the All Blacks.
Yeah, of course.
And then you get your first opportunity facing the haka. There's just like so much pent up rage that's just like been developing for such a long period, and you're just like, I just want to beat these guys. And it's still like that to this day. I face the haka and I go, these guys are so bloody good, and I just want to beat them every time. But I was lucky enough in my first encounter to get one over them.
And the track record with Australian schoolboys versus New Zealand schoolboys isn't all that great for Australia, is it?
No. I think it was the second team. I think it was second the team in 20 years or something. I'm making that stat up, I'm sure. But like it's few and far between. So we're very, very grateful to be a part of that team.
So you would have faced the haka quite a few times over your career. Is there like a tactic to it? Like who do you look at who you eyeing up? Who you staring down?
Are you trying to break their character?
Yeah, yeah. Not making silly faces. No, you got to be respectful. It's obviously a war dance. It's something very powerful. Like it's an amazing thing to face. But yeah, I'd definitely pick out one or two players.
Scrummy.
Most of them. It's usually your opposite number. Pick him out. But you'll know if he's staring back at you because after he finishes the haka, whether he walks off or not. So sometimes you'll be staring at him and you'll be like, yeah, we're doing a stare contest. We're making good eye contact here, strong. Yeah, I'm not backing down. And he finishes haka and just walk off. And it's like, oh, sweet. Like, he doesn't even know I'm here. but sometimes he'll stare back at you and you'll go, okay, like we're on for a battle here. So that's kind of cool.
And then, so after schoolboy, the next transition would be to play for Australia under 20s. And how did that go? How did your under 20 season pan out?
Well, in short, it didn't.
Yeah.
Due to COVID. But I think it was a really valuable time in my development to be able to kind of be a part of that system with some really quality coaching. Obviously, everyone kind of collates from different academies, and then we come together and we start working together for a common goal, which obviously didn't happen due to COVID, both of my 20s years.
Tough.
But it's great to be playing with athletes at a similar level to you. You know, you're really challenging yourself at the best of the best, and you're competing within those camps for the spots. And, you know, even though the team didn't get picked, we kind of knew where we were on that depth chart.
Yeah.
So when I was a 19-year-old, I knew I was probably pushing it to actually make the squad. And then from there, I knew I needed to increase my physicality, increase my athleticism to be able to put myself in that first team for the following year. Yeah. And ultimately, that's probably why I got my opportunity for the Brumbies, is because I had those 20s camps and I was developing quite well as a young guy. And then as a 20-year-old, I was lucky enough that when I was called upon for the Brumbies, I was ready to make my debut and take that step.
Yeah. But it wasn't straight to Brumbies, was it? Because you had a little brief stint at another club before the Brumbies. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Is it Tuggeranong?
That's pretty good, actually.
Okay.
That's you pronounced Bathurst wrong. That's all right.
Oh,
I'll forgive you for that.
Yeah, then I go.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, you pronounce it better than I do. I just call it Tuggies.
Okay, we'll call it Tuggies. That's way easier.
Tuggies.
Way easier, yeah. Actually, pause. Yeah, so you play for Tuggies. The Vikings, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, let's call them Vikings.
The Vikings,
that
works.
Yeah, so that was kind of like your stepping stone to the Brumbies. And was that led by the Brumbies to maybe loan you to another club so you can get some experience in men's rugby? Or how did it fit in your rugby journey?
Yeah, it was really special. I actually met with the Vikings before I'd met with Brumbies. It was all kind of on the same day, drove down from Bathurst, and we got there and the Tuggeranong Vikings showed me around their facilities, and I was really impressed at how club setup operated. They were almost semi-professional. They played in the local Canberra comp, but then from there, a lot of their athletes were playing in what was the NRC at the time, the National Rugby Championship.
Okay.
So that was a really impressive kind of setup, and honestly sold me right then and there. I met some really cool individuals, Nick Scrivener and Lee Boswell, to name a couple, who had kind of recruited a whole bunch of us from that Stennies team, 8 of us from that Stennies team that had literally just beaten Kinross a couple of months before, and got us down there and made sure that we were kind of fit in and made sure we had accommodation. Being country boys, it's always hard moving out of home, but they looked after us really well. So that made that transition so seamless. And from there on literally my 18th birthday, I went there and they put up a big barbecue for me and had a couple of beers. And then all of a sudden, Lenny Ikitau, Darcy Swain, Noel Alessio, Angus Wagner, all these guys who were playing for the Brumbies at the time came down to my 18th birthday party. And I was just like, what a special club that these guys are taking their time. They've met me once or twice at training, throwing the footy around at touch footy. And they all come down and had a really special time with me at my 18th birthday. And I'll never forget that. Just showing face just meant so much, for me as a young guy coming from the country. And so, went full circle a year back. My house dad, we called him Oga. He was a really good man. He'd lived in
good-looking man, I'm assuming.
Yeah. yeah. Great man. Nah, he's a stud. Absolutely love him. He's like my second dad. So yeah, he was our house dad, and he messaged me last year and said, we've got a couple of young boys from Stennies and a couple from Brisbane. Would you mind coming down and having dinner with us? And I said, jumped at the opportunity, because I knew how much of a profound impact that it had for me, some current Brumbies guys, some current Wallabies guys taking the time out of their day to spend time at my 18th birthday party. It's like a Make-A-Wish. Like, it was amazing. Like, they're coming down for me. But then I was just like, I definitely have to do the same thing. Because that's what club rugby is all about. And it was a really special time.
So I'm a little bit confused. So like, you're at Tuggies.
Yeah.
And they throw you an 18th birthday party.
Yeah.
And the Brumbies guys come to that 18th birthday party. But you met them. You trained them a little bit.
I had need to bridge the gap there. So our club was very, very successful. The Tuggeranong Vikings. Yeah. We have had, I think 10 of the Brumbies squad. At the time, we were all from Vikings. So we had all come through there. So Lenny is also a Viking, who you guys obviously know very well. So yeah, I've literally been playing since I was 18. I've been playing at the same club as Lenny Katau and Noah Alessio and Darcy Swain, and it was just amazing to kind of develop. And Scotty used to be a Viking too, so it's a very prestigious, historic club, where a lot of greats have kind of had applied their trade at a club level there, and then kicked on to greater things. Which is amazing.
And was just all this while you were at university in Canberra? Yeah. So how did that work? How did you divide up your time? And
I divided up my time very poorly. I barely went to uni, but I got by. I had some very good friends that helped me out, and they kind of knew I was pretty involved in the academy level of rugby and trying to crack it at the professional level. So they were good. They sent me a few notes, to the point where like I was doing a little bit of work in my SAT book, and I got a distinction, and I was like, oh, awesome. Sorry. My anatomy book. And I was doing a bit of work in it, and I was like, I got a distinction. Oh, this is awesome. Like, obviously I did pretty well. And I handed my book to my partner at the time. I said, there you go, love. Like, I got a distinction. There'll be some good stuff in there. And she like opened it up, and none of the diagrams were filled out. Like, I just circled the butthole and just being like, butthole. I was like, oh, well, obviously didn't do any work in school, but I just got by from the good-hearted nature of my friends, and they really looked after me.
You got a distinction for labeling the butthole.
Yeah, I think it's the anus is the correct terminology. Anyway, so
we should have gone to uni in Australia. It sounds like we would have.
Yeah, you guys would have definitely got high distinctions.
Okay, so Brumbies guys come down. You're kind of. You know them-ish from training, and that's an awesome moment. To be honest, if professional rugby players came to my 18th, I wouldn't be able to fit through the door. When I go back to uni, I'd be so big-headed. But but yeah, at some point you do make your Brumbies debut in 2021.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk us through what led to that moment. You adjusting to like being in a locker room with all of these prestigious rugby players like Len, that you spoke about. How did that debut come about?
Yeah, so it was a combination of just sustained I guess performance at the Vikings to be able to kind of put some good performances there, and then also those Aussie 20s camps were just amazing. So to be able to have those two things kind of culminate into building my rugby journey, and then from there it was luck, honestly. So like everyone talks about it, when you talk about professional rugby, there's a lot of talented athletes out there, plenty. But I was lucky enough through my hard work and through kind of a good preseason, I'd been given that 5th second rower spot. Okay. So I probably wasn't looking at playing any games, but then from there, 3 guys got injured, and they had the faith in me to kind of perform my role. So it was towards the back end of the 2021 season. We had already versed all the Australian teams, and we were going into versing the New Zealand teams that year.
Yeah. Is that Trans-Tasman?
Trans-Tasman, yeah. So it was during that COVID period where we could only kind of separated the competition into 2 halves.
Yeah, okay.
And luckily, not luckily for them, but luckily for me, a couple of my mates got injured, and from there, like Dan McKellar just pulled me in and said, "Look, mate, we think you're ready. You've had a good season training with the under 20s. You've had a good season at Vikings." And from there, he basically said, "We're going to throw you in the deep end and see if you can swim." So I was against the Crusaders, and I remember fondly walking down to our beloved kit man's little garage that he had, and he was a beautiful man. His name was Quinzo, and QE, he kind of pointed to the wall, and on the wall it said the 6 Ps: proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Yeah. So he just pointed to it, and I looked up at it, looked back at him, and he just looked at me with a stern eye, and I just said, "All right, here we go. We're on." So it was a really good quote from him, and it was something that he lived by, and I just made sure that I prepped that week, ready to go. And by the time I got on the field, which was a little bit earlier than I expected, I was ready to go, and and ready to be in the deep end. And
Yeah.
I treaded water. I probably didn't swim, but I treaded water definitely.
How did that game go?
It was an interesting game, actually. We were playing it, and the Crusaders and us were in an absolute arm wrestle. The boys were playing really, really well, and I kind of knew my job. My job was to get on in the last 10 minutes, lock down the scrum, maul really well. We're a very set-piece orientated team at Brumbies. And all of a sudden, around the 55-minute mark, one of the second rowers goes down, and he's like grabbing at his stomach. And I'm like, oh, gosh, this doesn't look good. And the physio runs over, and I'm like, mate, Wello, what's wrong with Frosty? Is he all right? And he goes, oh, mate, yeah, he's just a bit sore. And I was like, you're being very vague, mate. Like, what do you mean? So, Hoops, I'll be honest with you. Like, he's about to shit himself. I was like, what? He's like, he needs to go to the toilet. And I was just like, yeah, okay, we'll tell him to stay on there. He's like, it's not good. Like, he's about to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I ended up making my debut because he was a bit crook that day, and he needed to go to the toilet. So I run on, don't high five him because obviously gross.
Yeah.
And then we get on, and there's only 20 minutes left to go, and get on, stuff up my first line out. But then from there, we just get into the groove of the game.
Yeah.
We got right down to their end. We were trailing by 7 points.
Yeah.
We had a couple of good forwards carries, and we swung it out to the backs, and they crossed out wide, which is a really special moment. We hadn't won there since 2003.
Wow.
The boys actually broke that hoodoo two weeks ago, so very proud of them for that. But yeah, up until that point, we hadn't won since 2003. And my good mate Noah, he had the kick from the sideline to level it, and he missed it. So I never let him live that down. Went back home. That we were living together at the time. Went back home. I was like, mate, you could have made my debut really special, but you didn't. I'm never gonna let you forget that. But no, it was amazing. It was a great debut, and to get more time than I thought I was going to get was really special. And
Yeah.
it was just I just grew in confidence from them because I knew I could match it at that level. And I think that's just important. Like, you know, you do all the hard work, and sometimes that might amount to nothing, but I was lucky enough that there was a couple of injuries in my position, got the crack, and then from there your confidence just grows. I'm sure you guys have had that in your career too, where all you need is a little crack in that door and you open it up and you take it.
True.
So are you grateful for that Frosty came off a bit early, or you looking back, are you a bit pissed off? Or
Well, I was thinking he obviously didn't have the talk to Quinzo in the start of the week because he obviously wasn't prepared. So maybe Quinzo should have given him the six P's instead of me. But literally, I'm so grateful for Quinzo. I'm so grateful for Dan McKellar and Laurie Fisher at the time, because they literally just set that week up perfectly for me. So that even if he got injured in the first 5 minutes, I knew I was ready to go.
he had an extra P, unfortunately.
Not the P you want.
Not the P you want, yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit of luck in you getting on and how the game went on, obviously playing more minutes than you expected, but you took that opportunity with both hands. And, you know, physical from the start. I've seen a few clips from that game, and you were, apart from that lineup, you're pretty awesome. I guess my next question is, were the family there? Like, what did it mean to them? Like, were you able to chat to them post game?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really special for our family. I had my partner at the time, my mum, my dad, and my auntie there, and it was just the closest people to me in my life. It was great to have them there supporting me. They came over to New Zealand, and just absolutely loved their time there. They were there throughout the week, having oysters by the river, and just loving their time. And honestly, it's set the kind of scene for my whole rugby career, where my mum, my dad, my auntie, everyone, they just really love following me and my brother around. And it's just so amazing to see the smiles on their faces when they get to travel and see all these beautiful places with us, and see us do the things that we love. So that was really cool. And that was the moment where I went, I want to do this for the rest of my rugby career, not the rest of my life, but I want to do this for a long time, because it makes the people that I love very happy. Yeah. And it makes me extremely happy. So why wouldn't you want to keep rinse and repeat that?
True.
What's your mom like on the sidelines? Does she get really nervous, or does she get into it?
She's very vocal. Yeah. You'll hear her. Don't sit next to her unless you bring earmuffs. Nah, she's great. She loves it. She's so passionate. As I said, like, everyone thinks she's played the game, because she's a very intelligent woman that's picked it up quite quickly, and she'll commentate on everything. It's good.
Do you get critiques after the game?
No, they're very good in that regard. They know that me and my brother are quite self-critical of ourselves, so we don't really need anything else heaping on our shoulders. So we kind of just do that ourselves, and they're just more just providing the support and the laughs and the good times.
That's interesting. So post game for you is what I'm assuming rewatching the game quite a few times. Do you tear it apart, or like how does that look?
Beers first.
Can we make sure that Rob doesn't watch this? But, I don't watch the game back at all.
Yeah.
For me, if I've got something that I need to fix and correct, and I can't find the solutions in that moment, then I'll watch it back.
Yeah.
And I'll really take a fine-tooth comb to it. But if I think I've been happy with my game, or I missed a tackle, I know what the problem was instantaneely.
Yeah.
There's no need for me to dwell on that moment. So I feel like it's really important for young people. Like if you need a critique, and if you're a 5'8" or a winger and you're coming up in opposition, you guys probably need to develop that in your game. But for me, as a back 5 forward, I think it's just important for me to live in that moment and bring that physicality and bring that gusto that I'm trying to deliver every moment. So unless there's something that I really need to fix, technical point at scrum time or in the maul, I won't watch them back. And same goes for training. I kind of know within my body now what I need and what my teammates need. So my biggest thing is if I'm doing my job for the team, then happy days.
I think that's a cool point. I think, there's a one-size-fits-all approach to how you analyze your games, like post-rugby. And, I haven't been playing professionally for that long, but I've developed a bit of nuance like you have, like, knowing when you need to watch it back, knowing when you'd probably beat yourself up when you watch it back, and when you don't need to watch it back. So, yeah, that's really cool to hear from, obviously, a player of your stature, like, that you don't actually watch your games back. So you play at the Brumbies for over 4 years or around 4 years.
Yeah.
4 seasons, and 60 caps there. I guess, what did you learn over those 4 seasons? How did you develop the most as a player in those 4 seasons?
I developed much like I think others would, from the people around you, from the people in that room that are going through the same experiences as you are. Guys like Scotty Seo, who I've unfortunately or fortunately bumped into again here, but he's a good man. Alan Alatoa, James Slipper, some guys that I grew up watching and admiring, to be able to share the training field and the gym and everything with them, the meeting spaces, seeing how they communicate with their teammates. That's the biggest takeaway that I'll take from my time at Brumbies, like how those players at the top of their game communicated and developed the younger guys underneath them to make sure that the whole squad was going in the right direction, trending towards a common goal. That's something I'll forever be grateful for. I'm also very grateful for the tough love that I experienced early in my career at Brumbies. Guys like Dan McKellar, Dan Palmer, Laurie Fisher, some really quality coaches who pushed me in the right direction towards, Hoops, you've got a massive engine. Like, we see you running around like a headless chook every training session. Like, you want to work hard for this team. You're a fit bastard. But how can you concentrate those efforts into a positive way for our team? So, like, I was a huge, as I said, even as a 9-year-old, I'm there. I want to touch the ball. I want to take every carry. I want to make every pass. But how do I make every effort, every action that I have in a rugby game in 80 minutes, a positive one? And that's something that they really refined and fine-tuned. And that's where I really think the minutes on the ground with Laurie Fisher, he was an expert, and you may have seen some of his videos on Instagram. He's an expert in those close quarters drills, like really open skills, like around the ruck, around the breakdown, around different stimulus being thrown at you, but your ability to be able to rack split-second decisions in those moments. So I was subject to some really outstanding coaching there, but my biggest takeaway was definitely how the people around me were acting and how they led and how they played. And it was an amazing thing to kind of emulate them, or try and emulate them. I'm still trying. But here it's something that I'm a very confident person. So when I came here to Chiefs, I wanted to kind of share that knowledge and share those learnings, because obviously, even though I'm only 25, we've got a very young squad here at Chiefs. True. And it's something that, I think it's important. If you've got something to share, you should share it.
I think that's a really unique quality of yours. Obviously, as your teammates, we get to see you every day. There was no adjustment period between, Tom Hooper's just getting to know the people and he's going to be a bit shy. You were straight in, confident, and just yourself. And it's a very admirable trait that I think a lot of even professional players, but also young players, would want to know. Why is Tom Hooper able to just be confident in whatever setup he gets into? So share a bit about that.
Yeah, I think authenticity is the word that comes to mind. I think if you're just yourself, like people will naturally gravitate towards you. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Like some people want to like kind of sit in the corner and not have me yapping to them. But at the end of the day, if I can come in there and have a positive attitude and have a really big smile on my face, I think that's infectious. And it's something that, I really probably had a lull there for, if I'm being honest, like after the 2023 World Cup and I went back to Brumbies land and I was kind of coming off the bench, my energy levels dropped and I kind of fell a little bit out of love with the game.
Yeah.
And that's when I had made the decision to change clubs. And ultimately I landed at Chiefs. And then from there, you'd probably think, okay, like Hoops is moving to Chiefs, his head's out of it. But then last season at the Brumbies, I was playing some good rugby that I was very proud of. But I was having so much fun. Yeah. I was having so much fun. Like, I remember Benny Moen, our forwards coach, coming up to me and just like, Hoops, like, you probably like don't need it. You probably need to cut out drinking coffee. Like, you're already very energetic. Like, we probably don't need too much more energy from you. Because like, I just really enjoyed turning up to work and experiencing that with my mates that I'd known for 4 years at Brumbies. And now coming here, I was just so excited to get to know a new group and to challenge myself in a new environment where I'd kind of felt like I'd reached my ceiling and reached my potential at Brumbies, which was a beautiful club that gave me so much. Just coming here after all the positive things I'd heard and working with this group that had obviously been such a hard time last year and then started the season so strong this year, I was like, this is a group that is galvanized together and really want to achieve something special. And, from second last to going quite well, just sitting outside the top 4 this year, you can see that we've turned that around quite positively.
We talk a lot about imposter syndrome, don't we?
We do like to talk about it, yeah.
But I think having known Hoops now for a couple of months, sounds like imposter syndrome fears Hooper. It's not the other way around.
It doesn't exist. He doesn't know what it is.
It doesn't exist. He came in so confident. It was so refreshing, wasn't it?
It was. It definitely was. And you alluded to a little bit that 24-25 season, where you were playing the most excited that you'd ever been. You were loving your rugby. That year, you were runner-up for Super Rugby Player of the Year. You were in the team of the season. Did that make leaving the Brumbies a bit bittersweet because you left on a high?
No. Okay. No, it didn't. I kind of said, and I portray myself to the media I'm an open book. Like, you guys probably knew a bit too much about me. By the second week, you'd already known me. Like, I'm a very open book. I share everything. And, the way I portray myself to the media is very authentic too. And they asked me similar questions. How do you keep your head in it? Like, how do you stay present when you've got one eye on the Chiefs? And I just said, look, I want to throw everything into the season that I can. Like, I want to absolutely rinse my body. And I remember the feeling like on the 70th minute of the semi-final, 4 semi-finals in a row we made for the Brumbies and never quite got to the big dance, never quite got that premiership that we were chasing. Hopefully the boys do this year, touch wood. But I remember sitting there in the 70th minute and I was just absolutely rinsed, and I look around the boys around me and we'd come so far but fallen just short. But I was very proud of my season. I felt like I'd thrown everything I could into that season and left Brumbies on a really positive note. And from there, that probably gave me the opportunity to play for the Wallabies well that year, last year as well. And it's a season I look back with fond memories on because of the way I conducted myself, I think. It would have been very easy to kind of pack my bags early and get ready for that plane trip. But I felt like I owed it to the club to do my very best to get that premiership. And I'm absolutely gutted that we didn't as a team. But as I said, I'm very proud of the effort I put in and what I achieved in the Brumbies colours last year.
Yeah. And not just in the regular season, but you played some absolutely massive games after the season was finished against the British and Irish Lions, which is probably like the dream for like any kid that grows up playing rugby. Yeah, what did that mean to you, and what was that game like?
It meant more than it meant more than I could even imagine, to be honest. The season I had faced the reality that I probably wouldn't be playing for the Wallabies because I'd made the decision to be going abroad. Yeah. And then eligibility rules had changed, and the season I'd kind of started thinking I might be involved in these games, which is very special and something I wasn't playing towards. I was playing towards just absolutely emptying myself for the Brumbies and doing the best I could. And then when the opportunity came and it was coming closer and they started mentioning around selection, it just made me so excited for 2 reasons. One, because I got to play in that Brumbies game with my brother, which is the picture you can see there.
That's
and
an awesome picture.
That is genuinely like no word of a lie. It's that is the single-handedly, I would take that game over any of my caps for the Wallabies. Like that was the most special moment in my whole career over a premiership. Like playing with that bloke was just, he's my best mate, and to play with him was really, really special. I played on the Sunday against Fiji, and then for Australia, and then Joe Schmidt said, your little brother's playing on Wednesday. Do you want to play for the Brumbies? And I said, bloody oath, mate. I had one training session, played the game, and then I was cramping. Like my body was going, what are you doing to me? And the physio kind of said, do you want to come off? And I was like, mate, you're going to have to drag me off this field. Like, just put my brother on. I literally said that to him. So just put my brother on. Like, I'm not going to get this far. And then like have him not be on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
And then that was literally the next stanza. He came on, and we had a quick hug, and then he gave me a nice little tip pass and a couple of link ups on the field. It was nice. And then from there to kind of go into the British and Irish Lions campaign, wind at my back, sails full of wind. I thought I had a great season. I really thought that I was a chance of starting for those test matches, and then to come off the bench for the first one in a disappointing loss, to then get dropped in the second test match after I felt I hadn't kind of placed the foot wrong all year, was really disappointing. And then the third test match came along, and Joe Schmidt and the coaching staff had kind of instilled put their faith in me to start in the 6 jersey, because our absolute gun player Bobby Valentini got injured. Massive shoes to fill, and to have that faith put in me, it was almost back to my debut again. It's like this confidence just started arising in me, and I thought, I've had a great season. I play with this kind of happy-go-lucky attitude anyway. Like I'm just going to go out there and have fun and just carry and try and get involved and make every positive impact I can. And I was lucky enough to get man of the match in that game. And it was a special time in my career because of everything that was going on around the scenes, around moving pieces behind the scenes, moving over here, leaving the Brumbies, leaving Canberra, a place that I'd called home for 5 years, moving out of my first house that I'd ever bought. Like all these things were going on, but just to be able to hone in on that very moment and focus for that 80 minutes was a special time.
Would you say your gift or your superpower is being present, being in the moment? Because I've heard quite a lot about that phrase of being present, being in the moment throughout this episode, and I just say
I think being in the next moment would probably be my superpower. Like I sometimes drift. I definitely drift just like everyone does, but my ability to kind of refocus and focus on what's next is a very good one. Like water's off the duck's back, when I make a mistake, I'm kind of the first person to laugh about it to myself and then just know that it's the next positive action that I can have. So I definitely drift, and I probably drift more than some of the best athletes in the world do. Definitely. They have precision focus that I can only dream to having. But what I am good at is because I don't take myself too seriously, I can kind of just move on to the next moment. I'm just there having fun, really.
Yeah. Cool. And we're going to go a little bit further back, a little bit beyond last season, to the first moment that you knew you'd been called up to the Australian national team. Do you remember where you were when that happened? Do you remember the conversation? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I was at home in the kitchen, and that was a really emotional year for me, because I'd started the season off the back of a shoulder injury, had a very good season, kind of was hoping for Wallaby selections, and then had a shoulder injury in my semi-final. And the following year, I'd just gotten back from my shoulder, and I broke my 5th metatarsal at the start of the 2023 season. Doctors basically said I was going to miss the whole season. I say 5th metatarsal because it sounds cool, but it's just pinky toe.
Pinky toe. That doesn't happen to me.
Yeah, I broke my pinky toe. But because, we joke around, but because the blood flow is so terrible to that area, basically surgeons and specialists said, mate, that's you done. Your season's done. And I had kind of circled Rugby World Cup as my massive goal that year.
Yeah.
Then I was lucky enough to have a really good rehab, really, really grateful for the people who looked after me at Brumbies. The docs and the medics there, they were literally the only people I spoke to for a while there. And they looked after me, and they kept me positive. Like, you know, that was one of those moments where I was like kind of down the dumps, and I'm a very positive person, but they kept making sure that I was positive and staying in that attitude. And they got back with 5 games left to go that season. Started straight in, talked to Bernie Larkham. I was like, mate, I'm ready to go. And he was like, mate, you've been out for a long time. Like, mate, start me. Like, I'm ready to go. If you need me, I'm here. Like, pick me, coach, put me in. And he picked me, and I started the next 5 games. Started the semi-final at open side flanker, which was a position I'd never played before, not even in juniors. And then, yeah, I'd luckily shown enough versatility for Eddie Jones to pick me in the 2023 Wallaby squad. And that was such a special moment. Like, I remember I was at the shops just walking through, and I got a phone call, and it was from the physio, and just said, "Oh, how'd you pull up from the game?" I'm like, that's a bit weird. I was like, well, why do you care? Like, my Mad Monday's none of your business, mate. Like, but anyway, it was just obviously very caring. And then I got home, and I kind of had a little bit of an inkling, and it came up on the telly that I was in the squad, and I was in the kitchen with my partner at the time, and I just broke down. Like, I just couldn't believe it, honestly. Very, very emotional, very happy that after such a big setback, and then only having 5 games to kind of put my best foot forward, I'd achieved something that I didn't think was going to happen. And then finding out about the World Cup squad again was something really special. Off the back of a couple of good games against the All Blacks, I was lucky enough to be a part of that squad. So just
we're gonna take it back to the debut. So you're singing Advanced Australia Fair.
Yeah.
Where are you? Who are you playing against?
South Africa. Yeah.
In Pretoria.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's a bad photo.
Must have been altitude.
Sucking in the big ones.
You spoke from the next moment there.
Yeah, next one. But it was amazing. I remember sitting there in Pretoria. The massive fighter jets came overhead.
They send jets over?
They send jets over. That's massive intimidation factor. It was the tribal warriors come out like built like Michelin men, and I'm just like, oh my god, like they're not even the players. Like, what's going on here? But yeah, I was it was a massive wake up call to World Rugby. I was off the pace. Like, I have no problem looking back then and going, was I up to that level? No. Like, I got skinned on the outside by Damien Delandy. I got turned inside out by one of the wingers, and then I made my one and only carry of the game.
Really?
Very easily done.
It is easily done. But then I got made my one and only carry of the game. I sized up Dwayne Vermeulen, and for some reason my 22-year-old brain thought this is a great idea. It was not. He rearranged my shoulder, and I made it about 30 minutes into the game and went off with a grade 2 AC. So it was a rough introduction to international rugby, but one that I'm nonetheless grateful for.
Yeah, pretty tough debut game to have against Africa. And we've spoken a bit about your Rugby World Cup journey, but I think there's much more to be said, because you started all 4 pool games in that tournament, and obviously that's a great personal achievement. But you're not someone that just thinks about yourself. Clearly, from what you've said this interview, like, how did it feel being part of a squad that maybe struggled in the World Cup?
It was honestly devastating. Like, you look at the World Cup as the pinnacle of our sport. You want to bring nothing but pride to your country, to the fans, to everyone that's kind of got you to that point. You really want to repay that faith. And we fell short. We did, as a coaching staff, as a playing staff, as a 50 people that went over there with Australia's hopes and dreams on their shoulders. We fell short, unfortunately. It was a great group. It was a great group of players. We got along really well. I think some of that group we're going to see some really special things from in the future. I feel like that experience definitely galvanized us. And I'm very grateful to Eddie Jones for giving me and some other young guys an opportunity. Whether that was the right moment to give us that opportunity or not was a different question. But I know I was ready to perform at that World Cup, but I felt like we didn't have some answers in terms of tactics. And I remember going home after that Welsh game, after getting absolutely dusted by the Welsh team, which was kind of at the end of their successful tenure.
Yes.
Before, obviously,
No.
We won't mention it. But yeah.
Sound pretty happy to see that happen.
No, not at all. Because Australia's been in the same boat, honestly. And we're both very proud rugby nations that are struggling right now. So, no, I definitely don't wish that. I wish Italy didn't beat us twice, but we'll talk about that later. So when I think back of that, I remember going home that night and just devastated. I remember writing in my journal, like, again, not a personal thing. I just wrote down the top of my page, the darkest day in Australian rugby's history. Like, that's what I wrote down. And then I continued to journal about my part in that, what I could have done better, what I'm going to like commit to doing better in the future. And from that moment towards the next 12 months is something that I'll always look back very fondly on, because I probably didn't get that balance right in terms of I just wanted to work harder, work harder. And obviously that's a great value to have, but it's about working smarter.
Yeah.
I got back in the gym. I absolutely flogged myself. I made sure I was in good physical nick. I made sure I was heavy enough. I made sure I was the athlete that, you know, Eddie Jones wanted me to be. I made sure I had the mental kind of fortitude that everyone wanted me to have. But I didn't like stop and think about what had just happened. I didn't really digest what had just happened. I didn't really digest what the key fundamental flaws were in my game that I needed to work on.
Yeah.
And so it took me a whole 12 months. As I said earlier, like I was playing off the bench for the Brumbies, played 2 games for the Wallabies that year off the bench, and it was a 12 months where I learned a lot about myself, and I had to look internally about what I could do to improve and get back to the level of rugby where I wanted to be.
What were the fundamental flaws?
I think it's about how you approach the game when your back's up against the wall. And I think there's parallels in terms of what the Chiefs experienced last year. But at those low points, you really galvanize as a team, and you improve, and you realize how to live in the dark places. Like the South Africans, they love taking you to a dark place where it's just an arm wrestle, and they live there far longer than you do. We were a Wallabies team where we had a lot of youth in our team. We probably had a soft underbelly, and we had a lot of guys who all we knew how to do was lose. We didn't have a winning culture in our team. We got into those dark moments and we would roll over. We didn't know how to stick in that fight. And you can see it slowly developing in this Wallabies team at the moment. Like we're developing that fight. Like we're staying in games for 60 minutes, 50, 60 minutes. We just got to get all the way out to that 80 minutes to start getting the results and the work that we deserve, because we got some really talented athletes in Australia. And once it all clicks, I think we'll be a team to watch out for our home World Cup, which would be lovely. But yeah, I think it's a key thing, because everyone kind of talks about the Chiefs this year and they go, oh, we've got all these international boys come in and that's why we're successful. No way. Like the reason we're successful is because of the experiences that you guys went through last year. Like, you guys know how to live in the dark. Absolutely. But now you guys know how to win in the dark. Now you guys know how to change those moments from the 50-50s to moments that are within your control. Yeah. And we've just come in and we just wanted to buy into that. So everyone's kind of talking, like ladies come up to me in the street and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming. Like, I'm just like, I'm not here to fight a world war. Like, I'm just here to throw the pigskin around, but thanks anyway, love. But like, honestly, it's genuinely like we've come in and we've just bought into the top culture and the ethos of this team that wants to win. And I can see so many positive signs that hopefully Australia can adapt as well, because we've been in those hard times. We've now been in the times where we've shown what we can do against the British and Irish Lions. We've shown what we can do against South Africans, but we're not quite there where we're getting consistent results on the board. Yeah. Hopefully the tide's about to change like it has for the Chiefs.
We're going to move a little bit on to Exeter Chiefs now. Seems like a good time to do that. So after, your great period in Australia, you came here, joined Exeter Chiefs, as you said, post a losing season. And I think you've undersold your impact there, the impact of the internationals that we've had. They've been awesome, but there is truth in what you said that we did work really hard as a cohort in our preseason to live in those dark places. My question is, how did it make sense, the move to Exeter Chiefs, when everything was going so well in Australia? How does that make sense to you? How have you made sense of that?
Two things. I'd always wanted to come here. So I started off my career at Brumbies with a little yappy, annoying little bastard called Nick White. Yeah. And he has had a profound impact on my career. Like, we really get along off the field, and on the field, he has always challenged me to be a better rugby player. So whenever we were having a chat in the sauna and he was speaking about this place, he just said so many amazing things about it. Like he spoke so profoundly about the culture, about the work ethic of the boys here, about what goes on between the four walls, you know, of Sandy Park. And, you know, I was kind of looking at the results going, are you sure, Whitey? But realistically, like, it's like the DNA is in the fabric of those walls. Like, it's been a team for so long that has been successful because of what they do in the day-to-day. So I always knew it was an environment I wanted to be a part of. To be honest with you guys, I thought that was going to be later in my career. But when Rob came knocking, and so the second thing is timing. The timing was perfect.
Yeah.
So I was playing for Australia A at the time. As I'd said, I only played 2 games for the Wallabies. I was a little bit out of the Wallabies fold. I'd had a season for Brumbies, which wasn't my best season. And I take full ownership of that. Like, I definitely needed to put a better foot forward for that season.
Yeah.
However, I was at that point where I was like, okay, I perform well in this environment. What's the next challenge for me? Like, I feel like as rugby players, we're in the business of getting better. And if you're not getting better in a certain environment, it's time for a change up. So the culmination of timing of where I was at in my career, and also what Whitey had said and how profoundly he had spoke about the environment. When Rob came knocking, I knew it was something I was definitely interested in. And then when he said, you know, what was going on, and he was so honest about the season that they had just had, I'd signed on at Christmas. Like, it got released in the media January time. February time. You know, I told my teammates at Brumbies in January at the January camp, which is very unusual, but I'd signed at Christmas because I'm a big believer. Like, if you want to do something, you've just got to commit, and absolutely, you can't be half pregnant. Like, you need to be all the way in. So I was like, I'm going to sign 2 years here. I didn't know at the time whether I could continue to play for Australia, but I knew if I was playing good rugby, then hopefully they'll keep picking me, and hopefully that's still the case now. But
talk us through the rule change that now allows you to be able to do both.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think they're still ironing out the finer details of it, but basically they can select players from overseas without the Giddo law. Because originally it was you had to play a certain amount of games to be eligible to get selected. Yeah. Then there was a certain amount of positions. Ultimately, they said to me, and they've still stuck true to their word, like, they're going to prioritize picking the players that are playing the trade in Australia, which I think is amazing, because they are sacrificing traveling and sacrificing seeing the world to make sure the game in Australia is better and a better brand. And, you know, it's a little bit selfish of me to go, all right, I need to develop. I'm going to go overseas and do it. Eventually, I want to go back and continue developing Super Rugby, win a premiership with the Brumbies, you know, whoever it may be. I want to go back and make sure Australian rugby is thriving. But right now, it's just at that position. I was at that time in my life where I needed to focus on myself and getting better as a rugby player. And here was the best environment for me to do so. So to hear that kind of come up and they go, oh, well, we're still going to prioritize Australian players, but if you're playing awesome over there, keep your phone on. So I was like, yep, sweet. I'll make sure WhatsApp's ready to go and go from there.
Yeah. Sorry, you about to say something?
No, I love the way you speak. I love the way you tell stories. Genuinely, love it.
All over the shop.
So we're going to kind of wind down the episode a bit now. We're just going to shoot some questions at you. Keep it fairly concise, but you can go into, if you want to go into detail, do it. So 3 words you'd use to describe your playing style.
Work rate, fun, hyphenated team man.
Hyphenated head down, bum up.
Yeah.
That is a direct quote. That is a direct quote from Mr. Tom Hooper.
Highlights of your career so far?
Playing with my brother.
Yeah, true. Biggest lesson you've learned during your career? Next job.
Was there ever a moment in your career where you had to deal with imposter syndrome?
No.
If no, why? Why no?
Well, actually, you were right. I actually had to look up what imposter syndrome was because I didn't know what it was because I've never had to deal with it. But I just feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose right now. And at times when I've thought about, you know, not loving the game or whatnot, I've never kind of thought, oh, I'm just going to give up. I've always just thought, how am I going to pivot for this to suit me a bit better? Yeah. So I've never kind of thought I don't deserve to be here or, you know, read into it too much. I've just always thought, okay, I love the quote. I'm in the business of getting better. And that was from Laurie Fisher. They told me that in one of my first games. And that's genuinely what I'm here to do. Like, just get better as a person and as a rugby player. So
Love that.
This kind of leads on to this question, but the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
that one, but also just no matter what's going on in your life, like off field, on field, good friend of me just said, like, being a professional is about just showing up. Like, you just need to deal with everything. You need to push everything to the side sometimes, suppress it, and just show up for your teammates, because that's what being a professional sports person is all about.
Have you ever had any bad advice from a coach?
Yeah, don't kick, because I'm a really good kicker. So I don't know why.
Have you kicked in game?
Yeah.
As in for the Brumbies or Australia?
Not for Australia.
Okay.
Plenty for the Brumbies. Always turns out great.
And for Chiefs. You've had one for Chiefs.
Did I?
In an open field, haven't you?
No. At training.
Sure?
At training. And the coach told me not to kick, and I said, mate, it's in my toolbox. I'm going to kick.
What is something people wouldn't expect about you?
Oh, that's a tough one. You've actually got me on that. I don't know. I'm an open book. Like, everyone knows everything about me. Maybe that, like, I'm quite an emotional person. I cry in kids' movies all the time.
Kids' movies?
Yeah. When Mufasa died.
Oh, yeah. I hear that.
Sorry, spoilers alert. Yeah. Who hasn't watched Lion King?
So, Tom, thank you so much for being on our podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear about your life story, about how you've grown and developed into a seasoned international, and just to know more about you, because obviously we're your mates at the club. So that's been awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
So, Ross, it comes as no surprise that Tom's episode was incredibly, like, uplifting, encouraging. I think we should probably just share a few of our key takeaways that we loved from the episode. I love that from the minute I met Tom at the club, he led with confidence. There was no shyness. There was no, walking in with like a bit of nerves about, how people are going to see you. He was just himself. And I think the word that he used there was authenticity. And I think that's going to be really encouraging, inspiring for, well, not even just the rugby players that watch our podcast, but anyone in life to know that you can be who you truly are with full confidence, and that's enough.
100%.
What's yours?
Something similar. I think he's probably one of the most self-reflective people I know. He's very self-aware. He's not afraid to get inside to his own head and be self-critical. And, he spoke about journaling, which I think is a big thing in athletes nowadays, being able to understand your thought processes and figure out how you can better yourself from there. And secondly, I love that quote, business of getting better. I think he just embodies that quote perfectly. He shows up every day. He's always trying to get better, and he's a breath of fresh air to be around, I think.
True. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode number 7 of No Rucks Given. We've just had Tom Hooper on. It's been fantastic. We'll see you at episode 8.